I'm talking more or less about what happens when the beloved NPC, the favorite character, the animal companion, whatever dies, and you as a dungeon master are stuck with that new reality. And you're gonna have people that are, some people are not gonna take it as well as other people.
No.
I've seen people get emotional about stuff, and it's understandable, because if you devote a lot of time and effort into something to see it kind of taken away from you, it can be upsetting. Certainly there's times when people, they made their own mistakes. Like, what was the famous one with like Keyleth, where she like turned into a fish and then like fell like 3,000 feet or something?
She jumped off a cliff, 400 feet off a cliff, and then died.
What are you talking about?
In Critical Role.
Yeah. Oh, I don't.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, I don't watch that either. I have no idea. Half of our group does, half of our group doesn't.
Yeah. Because we diversified.
No offense to the show, I just never took the time.
I'd rather be playing it than.
No, that's fine. I'm just saying, but like that character had a lot of power. It was a powerful druid and made a bad decision that led to the character's death.
Yeah.
Decision.
Now they were able to resurrect that character, and Steven and we had talked about how Matt Mercer had kind of done his resurrection system, and I had kind of done a similar situation in my homebrew.
It sounded very similar, considering that you've never listened to season 1 of Critical Role, and it's like the fact that your resurrection and his are so similar. It's very interesting, and I think that it's better. I like those two versions better than what the book. Like the book has like, oh, you just use a diamond or whatever, and then the person is resurrected. And with both you and him, it sounds like there has to be more to it with the characters. Like the characters actually have to make a plea and bargain with the person who died to bring them back, and also offer, some sort of object, that means something that relates to their relationship. I feel like that's like a way more meaningful, and better way of resurrecting somebody than just saying, oh, I just cast a spell and this diamond that costs 500 gold is gone now, and this person's back to life.
Well, I'd like to add on that is one thing that a lot of people don't take into consideration with resurrection is, first of all, it has to come down to the other person that you're resurrecting to confirm whether or not they're coming back. They can just say no, Right. And I've actually played a character who declined resurrection. Everybody was like, they started turning on the people that my character helped defend. People are pulling out their weapons and like, you need to resurrect him right now. And the head cleric, the head druid was like, he doesn't want to come back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He made a sacrifice and he lost. Literally, my character had a Rick Grimes moment, like lost his whole family. Like he was burying his people from this giant battle that had happened, and then these creatures came to attack and sacrificed himself with the big bad. Lost his life. So did the big bad, luckily. But when they tried to resurrect him, it just didn't happen. He just didn't want to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I feel like that, that comes down to, that comes down to obviously the wants of not just the player, but the character. And you did a good job of being in that character's mindset of saying, hey, that's not at all what this person was about. Like you bringing this person back is an offense to how they lived, Yeah,
how they lived and how they died. Like,
yeah, they sacrificed themselves to save these people. Like, their death meant something. Time to move on. Whereas, in my setting, we had an NPC. It was a younger NPC. He was a tiefling. His name is Hubris. Kind of talks like Dave Mustaine.
His weirdest thing.
Yeah, and hello me.
Yep, that's it.
And he, he joined up with the party. He was a bard. He's one of our homebrew bard class creations. We wanted to test him out in the world. He became a part of the group. He was like their little buddy. He ended up getting into a confrontation with some pretty bad evil guys, and he ended up losing his life. And the party was very upset about him dying, and they threw him into a bag of holding. And
Gentle reposed him.
Yeah, preserved him as well as they could. And they carried him around the continent for like a month after that. And the question was always there about, what do we do with Hubris? What do we do with him? What does he want? And it was a cool role playing thing, because the characters as well as the players were divided on it. And so as much as like some of the players might have said like, hey, he's useful, he's a bard or whatever, that's meta in my book, you got to be thinking about it in terms of, hey, this guy was only 16 years old and he lost his life trying to help us. Maybe we should bring him back, give him a chance at life. Maybe we should do this, do that. Well, it really divided the table, because people were like, hey, that's unnatural, he died fighting a death cult, of necromancy.
Yeah.
And now you're going to turn around, you're going to bring him back,
that's a little weird, a little sketch.
Yeah. And
a little bit.
Depending on the different characters' religious views, or even just where they were from on the continent, they had different, in my setting, the North is much more traditional, whereas the South is a little bit more industrial, a little bit more of a metropolitan type situation.
Yeah. You're more urban.
Yeah. And, so I just think it's important to, especially as a DM, if you're listening to this to get tips as a dungeon master, and maybe you just recently had a player character die at your table, or an NPC die, and you're not sure how to deal with it. It's kind of hard to navigate it from this point. The best advice I could give you is to, before session 0, be like, these are the laws of my world. This is the setting that I've created. This is what's possible. I feel like you need to explain to your players, like, hey, if your character dies, there are options for them to come back. The book, the player's handbook, there's spells out there that can do it. If you don't have those particular type characters in your party, a cleric or a druid or, wizard, even a bard cast wish, your options become slimmer.